Richard, just over 2 weeks out now from the Fly 2022. How are you looking forward to getting to the competition?
Well, we're getting to the stage now where it's realistic and it's sort of almost touchable. So now starting to develop communications with my team. Now I have a captain in place. The final squad is nearly there. I think we've one more player to add that due to dropouts from other commitments, but we're nearly there. And I think we've got a good balance and we're all excited to get on with it.
How have you gone about planning and drawing up sort of tactics or what you might think might be your tactics when you get there? Is it sort of player specific, or have you looked at how the Sixers game has been played so far and thought about what might work or what might not work?
Well, one of the advantages I've got of being sort of regular contact with Glenn, my assistant, is that we've had time to look at things and work together. So we've looked at Sixes footage from various countries now where it's been played, analysed where goals are scored from and where they're not. So we think we've looked at it quite technically, and that's helped formulate our plan. To be more specific than that is difficult until you know the exact details of your players, you get them together, and after that first training session we've got, we think then we've got the pieces that will fit together to implement our plan.
What did you make from watching the competition in the first year from the sideline? Do you think it will look fairly similar, or tactics will change a bit compared from first year to second year?
I mean, I think it's going to be fairly similar. It's a transition-based game, and transition goals tend to come from certain areas, and I don't think that will change massively. We are hoping to put our own little spin on it and twist things up a little bit. And as I said, myself and Glenn have worked together over a number of years, and we've got a certain way that we want to play and like to play. And hopefully we'll do that. We're very much a case of we want to play with fun, we want to be aggressive, and we want players to express themselves.
As you said there, obviously with the model of the competition, it's generally a lot of players and coaches who haven't played together coming together in a short space of time and having to gel. However, looking through your squad, like you say, you very close with your assistant coach, and also you've got a number of players already through the team that you coach at Rochdale and play with at Rochdale on a regular basis. So does that give you a bit of an added advantage that you actually have that regular communication and regular knowledge of quite a few of the players within the squad?
I mean, I think it does. I mean, there's 3 players within the squad that played together this year and trained together, and they've known that they were involved in the Swift squad from quite an early start. And I wouldn't be being honest if I hadn't discussed with those players why we want them in and what we want them to do. I mean, I think I have an advantage in the fact that I've got 3 players that are used to playing together and are used to, if it's like myself and Glenn, and what we expect and what we want. Like I say, one of them is also now the squad captain. So again, he's been involved in those discussions from the start now, and hopefully it will help us implement what we intend to implement.
Yeah, as you said there, you've named Aaron Duckworth as your captain. Is that again that link of having 2 coaches who are familiar with each other, then down to the captain familiar, that you can relay those messages and be confident that there's a good sort of link and connection between the squad and you as a coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Aaron for a long time. I mean, I think I first coached him when he was about 15 or 16. So I sort of know his game inside out, and he knows me inside out in many ways. Not always in agreement, but generally we come to the conclusion that I'm right. No, but Aaron is a good communicator. I mean, he's incredibly excited about being involved, and he's taking the whole thing serious. I mean, he's been on the edge of sort of high level across our national squads and never quite made it sort of past that end bit. And over the last few years, he's been focusing a little bit more on his career. This gives him that opportunity to showcase his skills. And again, like I say, that the sixes game is particularly suited to the strengths that he has.
As you say, he will bring a lot of experience in that role as your captain and somebody who has been around, played to a very high level. On the flip side, I was looking at a couple of the other Rochdale players that you've got in the squad, Nathan Cole-Clough, Josh Clegg, at the other end being quite young, up-and-coming players. Don't know if you want to tell us a bit about those two and what they'll bring to the squad as well.
Well, again, Nathan is another one that's been, he was very close to the under-19 squad, I'll say 6 years ago now. And withdrew for various reasons. And like I say, at the time, it was where he was at, and bits and bobs, it didn't quite work out. But he's actually an incredibly creative, imaginative player. He doesn't do things that you're supposed to do, but he's effective in doing what he does do. I think, like I say, having talked to the coaches with the under-19s when he was involved with it, he brings a certain it to a lacrosse field. He's got that X factor. It either works or he doesn't, but when it works, it looks great. So he's a really exciting player. I mean, he's scored and assisted so many goals this year at club level. And a lot of the way we play at Rochdale has been built around Nathan's style. And again, bringing along Josh is probably the youngest player that I've worked with this year, 16-year-old. He's come from a pop lacrosse background, so he's basically right the way through from national championships at pop lacrosse with his primary school. So he sort of epitomises a lot of the development programs that I've been involved with. So it's really exciting to have him in. People will know him that have been involved in the academy program because he's a current member of the academy. And like I say, if I was to tip a young player to be playing for England in the future, Josh will be it. It's going to excite a lot of people.
Particularly, like you say, going back to someone like Nathan in the sixes, is that such a valuable thing to have that player who can be that spark, can be that person who does something a little bit different. That particularly in this format, he'll be able to get lots of opportunity to get the ball. He'll be on the ball a lot. It will give him a chance to really showcase what he can do.
And I'm really excited for Nathan and that. And again, because like I say, he is an incredibly talented player that's not very well known. So it's a great opportunity. And I have no doubt, like I say, that people will be looking at him and thinking, where's he been? And he plays, is what I like. He plays with a massive smile on his face. A lacrosse field is his happy place, and he just expresses himself when he gets on there.
So with your sort of, when you working and putting that squad together, you've got that strong core of players that and are very familiar with, and then you also made a few selections around picking players with that sort of NCAA background experience, Austin Holgate, Lewis Alhay. How do you think the two merge together, and what do you think players like that will add to your squad?
Well, I think Austin and Lewis bring a little bit of box experience, so bring that short-sided knowledge, and there's no doubt that there are things that we can learn from the indoor game, and they've got that experience. So they bring that, but they also bring, if you like, the experience of the pressure of the NCAA. I mean, it is a highly intense environment. Players are expected to perform regularly and over sort of shorter periods of time. So they bring that knowledge and reading from one game to the next and taking it forward. Both of them have got a lot of experience. And again, the same breath, both of them now have got experience of playing within the UK through the college programs that they've been involved in over here and at university. So it sort of fitted in with their experience. But when I looked at the players and looked at the sort of the selection process this year, I set out to try and build a mixture of what I knew and players I knew, but then try and get an international blend. The plan was to let's say, how many countries can I get players from, or experience from around the internationally, not just at international lacrosse level, but playing club lacrosse overseas and bring that sort of interesting blend together.
Touch there on the the sort of the box experience and the different formats. Where have you taken most of your influence from, do you think, for putting together your sort of team plan? Is it mostly field, would you say, it's, or does the box come in, or does sixes have its own style?
I think sixes has its own, and I think I've sort of, when I was first approached about this and I sort of asked to put my thoughts on sixes down, it's sixes is not a new concept to me. Sixes played an integral part in my lacrosse background, and sixes traditionally was featured regularly within the domestic calendar. All right, slightly different format, pitch size, but essentially it was a goalkeeper and 5 players that played both ways. Fast and furious, transition based, but all right, the modern version of it's brought in a shot clock and a few slightly different rules. But sixes in many ways and short-sided lacrosse has formed a lot of my coaching ideas and philosophies, in the fact that producing players who can make decisions on the field, who can learn quickly. I don't like X's and O's. I like players to just go out, express themselves and work with others. How can I make my teammates better? And I think, like I say, sixes fits perfectly into that. Short-sided, a lot of my training sessions are short-sided games. I don't do 6v6 around goals. I like 2 goals. I like 2 goalkeepers. Short-sided, 3v3s, 4v3s, 5v5s. Let's see what we can do. And so I say it's a game I'm excited about, and I think it's really great the game's come back, because, like I say, all the talk about new and exciting, it's not that new.
Do you think, like you say there about trying different things, do you think there'll be much adapting sort of quick and on the pitch whilst in game, or depending on the tactics of other teams or situations, or will it be much about sort of getting your plans right first and then making other teams react to you?
I mean, I think, like I say, your plans are really important, but again, it's about planning on the field. You can put shapes, you can sort of have an ideal, but you can't predict what the other team are going to do. You can try and dictate what the other team want to do. And like I say, we've done our homework, we've done our research. We know where the bulk of goals are scored. So essentially, we want to push the other teams where those goals aren't scored. And that's a plan defensively. The same would work in offense. That we want to put our players in those positions where the highest number of goals are scored from percentage wise. And like I said, yeah, we've got a few ideas and tricks up our sleeve to try and dictate that, but it is very much about getting the message across the players, read what's happening, know where the game is successful, and manufacture those areas. I mean, I'm keen to use behind goal a lot more. I think that's something, having looked at last year and to a certain extent the tournaments in the States, that it's not necessarily exploited as much as it can be. But again, it's getting the balance. You've got that defined period of time to create that opportunity, and it's making sure you do that within that time frame.
And that's where, with such a competition, like you say, whilst been played before, now with its adapted formats in things like shot clocks, that's where the game is evolving really quickly at the moment, because it's new and there's new concepts, and it's working out what you can and can't do within the parameters.
Yeah, I mean, like you are trying to create the highest percentage shot you can in a very short period of time. And it's a case of stick or bust in a sense. I've created a 50% chance in 10 seconds. Can I create an 80% chance in 25 seconds and playing that? And it's back to that decision making and trusting in the players to make the best decisions. Can I score? Can somebody else score? Can I move to score? It's a fairly simple game. Lacrosse is a simple game complicated by coaches.
One of the key areas is, say, talking a lot about creating those scoring opportunities, but we've seen that, from the first years, that the goalkeepers play a really, key, even bigger role than they would usually. And I know, unfortunately, Swift have had to make a goalkeeping switch as your retained player, Elliot Hurry, suffered a broken thumb. So you've had to go and find yourself another goalkeeper. That's Will McDonald. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Will?
Again, Will is a player that is fairly well known in the North area. He's been around through the junior programme, playing at Mellor. But again, he's really, really exciting young goalie. I only came aware of him probably post-Christmas. Heard rumours about this kid that had gone off to the Czech Republic to play lacrosse, to learn box lacrosse. And then this kid turned up in an under-19s ten-a-side game playing for a joint Rochdale Mellor team. The young Rochdale goalkeeper had been having it all playing all the game time, and then this other guy arrived and just watched him, and he's a great communicator, great shot stopper, really good positional goalie, and he plays with confidence. And if your goalie looks confident and sounds confident, it's half. It can have such a big influence on the game. And again, it's a great opportunity for me to work with another young player. I mean, he's currently in the Welsh under-21 squad. And like I say, he's not an individual I know particularly well, but from what I've seen and what I've watched him, and I went to the Nick Keogh to watch him play there, and really exciting to get involved in coaching him and work with him.
So, like I say, overall, then you feel like you've got, there's quite a lot of exciting avenues and different blends of players that you got there. You are confident that ultimately you can put all those players together in a team and get them to execute when it matters on the weekend. Yeah,
I think I've got a really nice balance. A lot of my players are very much two-way middies, and I think that's what you need in the game. Defence is important, which is why you need them to be able to operate at both ends. But I've got two-way middies who can all score goals. I've got an awful lot of pace in the team. Players like Corey Carver is lightningly quick. Again, scoped him out through one of my Rochdale connections. One of the Rochdale players who isn't in my squad but has been playing with him at MMU this year has told me all about Corey, and he's fast, very fast. Again, a lot of pace in there. I think I've got a good balance, but I think we'll be playing an exciting, fun brand of lacrosse. And like I said, I think hopefully we'll be putting smiles on other people's faces watching, not necessarily playing against us.